Hey guys, and welcome back for another episode of the Be Brave podcast with me, your host, Grace. Today we're going to be chatting about being triggered in eating disorder recovery. Whether this is having a comment made by someone else, or maybe you were exposed to someone else's behaviors, or some information regarding weight or other numbers or anything like that. Firstly, I think it's important to discuss ways to avoid your triggers as much as possible. Of course, it won't always be possible to avoid your triggers, but they can definitely be minimized. You could try talking to your friends and family and letting them know what's triggering for you. This could sound something like, "Hey Aunt Belinda, it's so nice to see you again. When we catch up though, I'd prefer if we didn't talk about food, diets, or weight. I'm super interested in hearing about your new job though, so maybe you could let me know how it's going." For closer friends and family, it could sound something like, "Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that at the moment I'm still finding talk about food, weight, bodies, diets, and that kind of thing pretty triggering, so if you could try not to talk about it when I'm around, that would be really helpful." Alternatively, if these conversations don't work, or if there's an individual you're not comfortable having these conversations with, you could simply excuse yourself when triggering conversations come up, or you could try to bring up a new topic to discuss. Regarding social media, it's really important to be mindful of who you are following. There are so many helpful accounts out there, which I'm happy to share with you, so send me an email if you'd like some guidance. There can also be lots of triggering accounts out there though, so if you come across these, make sure you report them or block them so that you can prioritize your own mental health. Additionally, it's often beneficial to take a break from social media, or at least try to reduce the time that you spend on it so you aren't stuck in a cycle of comparison. Another thing you could try if you don't want to be off social media so you don't lose touch with your friends, you could create 2 different accounts. One account just for personal normal life that you have your friends on, and then another account where you follow helpful eating disorder recovery creators. Even if you do all the preventative measures you can think of, triggers are still going to come up. Maybe you're out in public or on social media and you end up seeing an individual that appears to be struggling with an eating disorder due to stereotypical portrayals of thin people with eating disorders. Firstly, I want to acknowledge how difficult this can feel. Then, I want you to start asking yourself these questions and reminding yourself of a few things. Number 1, you don't actually know if that individual has an eating disorder. They might be struggling with another health condition like cancer or depression that's making it difficult for them to eat. Secondly, if they're in a smaller body than you are, that doesn't mean that your suffering isn't valid. A person's body size doesn't indicate how severely they suffered. An eating disorder involves mental torment that sometimes, note I'm saying sometimes, has physical side effects. I'm sure you've heard it before, but less than 6% of people with anorexia are actually underweight. So it's just a very stereotypical portrayal that can often lead people to feeling like their experience is not valid. Thirdly, I want you to contemplate that if the individual you have seen is struggling with an eating disorder, I want you to think about what their quality of life would be like. Do you think they have much energy? Do you think their physical health is in a good state? Do you think they have good relationships? Do you think they're happy? Or do you think that they're actually struggling and battling with their own mind every day? Instead of feeling jealous, try to feel empathetic, as I'm sure you know how difficult it is to be in that state. Next, I want you to think about what it would take for you to be in that state. Would you have to torture yourself to get there? Would you be able to maintain your hobbies, relationships, school if you're doing it? Would you be putting your health at risk? My guess is that the pathway to that point would not be pleasant, and even if you got there, it wouldn't feel like enough, and nothing will have been achieved. The cycle will just be perpetuated. Another possible triggering scenario that doesn't involve body comparison may be witnessing someone's behaviors or hearing or reading specific numeric amounts, such as a certain number of calories eaten or an amount of time without eating, or miles of exercise done, or calories burned, or whatever it is, some sort of numeric value. Numbers can often be extremely triggering for people with eating disorders, as it's much more quantifiable than just comparing one body to another. I saw a video the other day by simplifying.sam on TikTok, and she was telling people to stop measuring. She was saying that measuring is making our lives absolutely miserable. And what she meant by that was that every day we measure our weight and how long we do something and what marks we get. And we're always checking, are we shorter than this person or taller or smarter or more athletic? Do we have more money or less? And this measuring system depends on us constantly aiming to be better than someone else. It puts us at a constant war with each other. And then it makes us feel like we aren't enough and always have to be something more or something that we aren't. So then we end up feeling unworthy and awful all the time because all we do all day is measure. We look at someone and we compare ourselves. We think, oh, they're bigger than I am, but I'm bigger than this person and that person has more money than me. Maybe that person's better than me, or am I better than them? We place all of this value on these random measurements. I think it's really important that we then question this. Do we want to be constantly measuring ourselves? Or would it be better to just be? Be who you are right now. I think that this concept that she was bringing up relates really well to eating disorders, as there's so much comparison involved that takes up so much time and just makes your life more miserable. When you think about whatever behavior someone else did or whatever it is that triggered you, I want you to ask yourself, if you did this or if you pursued this, would it align with your goals and your values? If you tried to get to a lower weight, what would that achieve? Then what? Would you be happier? I can actually answer that question for you. The answer is no. Losing more weight won't achieve anything. It will prolong your recovery, but apart from that, you won't feel like it's ever enough. So there's no point in trying to appease your eating disorder. So no matter what the triggering situation was, the main things I want you to come back to are asking yourself, do I want to recover? If the answer is yes, then leave that triggering situation behind. It's not something that you want to pursue. That's something for someone in an eating disorder, and that's not what you're doing anymore. You can ask yourself, am I recovering or am I relapsing? And if relapsing is feeling really tempting, just remind yourself, that's not getting you closer to your goals. What is it going to do for you? Sure, it'll appease your eating disorder, but is it going to help strengthen relationships? No. Is it going to help you academically? Absolutely not. Will it help you do your hobbies? Nope. It's really not going to help anything. So think about your values and your goals and all of that, and remind yourself that engaging in any sort of behavior or trying to reach something that you've seen, it's not in line with your goals. So you can see it, feel sorry for that person, and move on, knowing that that's not where you are anymore. Lastly, just keep being kind to yourself, because it can be unsettling, and I don't want you to be upset with yourself for feeling triggered. You may think, oh, come on, I'm recovering now. I shouldn't be triggered by this kind of stuff. It might be triggering for a while, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means it's going to feel a bit hard. So keep being gentle with yourself, and remember, you're enough. You're here for a reason. You are so strong. Until next time, keep being brave.